Welcome back for episode 8 of the Skateboard Ranch. Sorry I kept you guys waiting. I know I said I was going to release a video just right after the last one, but life got in the way and took me a lot more time to edit than I thought. For example, I spent most of the last week in Montreal preparing the barbecue for the Empire Open. I was hired with the Skateboard Ranch to cook for all the athletes, judges, VIPs, and also to the public. So me and a few friends spent some time prepping, and we cooked for the Friday and the Saturday of the event. And all in all, it was a great opportunity. I met a lot of nice people, and it was a good way to put the Skateboard Ranch name on the map. But it was a lot of work, and I couldn't have done it all by myself, so I'd like to thank everybody that came to help me, greatly appreciated. And I would also like to welcome all the new subscribers. Since the last video, I had a big bump of 100 plus subscribers, in part due to Empire and Phil La Jeunesse, who wrote an awesome post on the Empire blog. I'll put the link down below if you want to check it out. On that same day, I was uploading episode 7 and the blog post was being released. So I had a lot of views coming in. And at some point, I started receiving notification comments on my channel reading "The Illusion sent me here. I'm here because of the Illusion." So I was like, what the hell is going on? So after a bit of research, I realized that Amish Patterson, a guy from LA, also known as The Illusion, had made a video about the skate ranch. I guess he saw one of my videos and got motivated, and he wanted to share my adventures with all his subscribers. Yeah, he has 100k subscribers. All that happened on the same day, so I had a whole bunch of traffic and a whole bunch of new subscribers, so welcome. And lastly, before we really get down to business, I just want to tell everybody that I've been working on my online store last week, and I finally have some merch for sale. So I have the jockey hat like this one, and I got the olive one too. Just like that. I also have the little dad hat with a little skateboard wrench on the side, and t-shirts and hoodie. So those 4 items are available on the store at store.skateboardranch.com, and there's not a lot of quantities, so hurry up before it's all sold out, and I'll have a new batch coming up pretty soon. So let's get down to business. Going back in time to episode 4, the last thing we did in the house was strip the bathroom and remove the carpets in both bedrooms upstairs. After that, much of our time was spent setting up the shack and getting everything ready to be able to live in it in the meantime. Even though it got us a bit behind schedule in the house, at least we had a good place to sleep, and we would be able to just rip everything apart in the house. Since our moving date from Montreal was getting closer and closer, I figured that we might as well finish the bedroom first, so that we can move some of our stuff straight in. The plastering and painting went pretty well. After multiple coats, we were able to get rid of the old colors. We were now ready to do the floors. Luckily for me, my friend Jay had scored a whole bunch of laminate flooring at the hotel where he works. What I thought would be done in one day ended up being a nightmare of a waste of time. I don't know if it's the pressure of the upcoming move, but I think I did everything wrong when I started to lay the floor. I was laying it the wrong way, I started in the wrong corner of the room, and the floor was incredibly crooked. At one point there was no more time, so I had to come to the conclusion that the room weren't gonna be ready to move in. So I dropped everything, frustrated and exhausted, and headed back to Montreal to finish packing the apartment. At that point, I was really wondering what the hell I was doing. We were about to move in a house without even a finished room, and even without running water for that matter. We didn't have a choice, so I brushed it off and decided to focus on priorities, moving all our stuff, and then we'll figure it out. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. Moving is never really fun, but when the truck you reserved is not there and you can't manage to find a truck until 5 hours later, it's even worse. At least my good friend Pilon was there to help us, and we managed to empty out the apartment in a couple hours, and at the end of the day we were on our way to Nominang. And before midnight, the truck was empty and unloaded in the garage. But I still had to go pick up all the stuff that I had at the U-Haul storage, and I also have a whole bunch of stuff at my sister's too. So by the time we brought everything up north, my garage was 3/4 full, as you can see beside me. After a few days reorganizing our stuff, we finally managed to set up a temporary summer kitchen. The situation might not have been ideal, but it could have been a lot worse too. With the move now behind us, it was time for a rematch with the laminate floor. With a new strategy in mind this time, I was confident I was going to make it work. My new plan was simply to follow the curve of the floor instead of fighting against it. And finally, things started to go smoothly. Actually, it was going surprisingly well. And the second room went even better. Too bad it's always at the end of a project that you start to get the hang of it. After putting some molding down to lock everything in place, we were finally able to get our sleeping quarters inside, and also bring some of the furniture that was in the garage in the second room. This is actually the furniture I had in my room when I was a kid. It is close to 100-year-old too, so it's a perfect match for the house. Now that the rooms were done, it was time to get going on the next urgent issue, having running water. We continued where we had left off, by ripping out what was left of the bathroom. I already knew when I bought the house that the whole floor underneath the toilet was rotten, but the pressure tank and the pump are also underneath where the bathroom is. So it's two birds, one stone, get rid of the floor and access the pump.
Oh, newspaper. Vendredi 12 avril 1940.
After so many hurdles, I was finally descending into the crypt. Let's just say that the cold atmosphere was less than inviting.
Alright, so my water tank is right there. That fucking hot water tank's going away. Everything is riggedy. Oh, look at that! A fucking heater down here. Your chauffage, sip.
I was getting closer and closer to running water. I could feel it. First thing first, empty the water tank. Then, remove said water tank. Then, remove all unnecessary copper plumbing. My goal is to redo the whole plumbing system, but for now, I'm just gonna do a PEX bypass. I was almost there. I only had to crawl to the other side of the house to open the valve.
M'ouvrir la valve dehors. Alright.
You gotta be kidding me. There was no way I was not getting running water by the end of the day, so I ran to the store just in time to get a new exterior faucet. With more fiddling around and a little bit of DIY magic, I was able to solder the pipe in place. Now that everything seemed to be ready, it was time for the big test.
Ok, ben ça marche. Ah, nice, ça l'a arrêté.
Finally, fresh water from our own well. No more filling and hauling jugs of water from the village. Okay, that's nice. We now have running water, but we still don't have a shower or a toilet. We've been relying on the old lugaloo for the toilet. It's far from being ideal, but it has its perks.
At least the view is nice.
As for the shower, we've been using one of those shower bags that you put in the sun to heat up the water. It works pretty good, but you have to take your shower before the mosquitoes comes out. With my newfound confidence, I was ready to push ahead with the bathroom. I felt like my days of failure with the laminate floor were far behind me. My plan is not to remodel the bathroom, it's to totally relocate it. So I started by figuring out where my walls are going to be and cut the floor accordingly. My first plan was to try and salvage part of that floor, but after realizing it was screwed down and that the screws weren't coming out, I just had to scrap it. No more wasting time. Next, there was that big post that I wanted to remove. It ended up being easier than I thought because it wasn't holding by much. Let's just say that this was probably not the sturdiest post in the house. It probably wasn't supporting much charge either because it was set up over a hole in the first few layers of floor and it wasn't reaching the structure underneath. So I set out to build a new structural wall. When I realized there was a little more demolition to do. There's always a little more demolition to do. Then, slowly and carefully, I started building the new support structure. And boom, just like that, another item crossed on the to-do list. It might not seem like much, but I was pretty proud of that one. At every step of the way, my confidence was building up on the success of the previous task. So when an unexpected situation or a problem would arise, I would just tackle it head on instead of looking at it and let the doubt submerge me. Every day, I was doing a little more than the day before. I was gaining a lot in efficiency and organization. I have to admit that I wasn't starting from zero. I've done similar work for one of my friends, but it was the kind of job where you mostly hold this, do that, and you don't take any decision. So this is an all different ball game when I have to figure out all the material, all the tools I'm going to need, and basically take an executive decision on every step. It was really motivating to finally see the bathroom slowly take shape. Knowing fully that I'm not an expert, I read pretty much every instruction manual that I could get my hands on. And when that wasn't enough, I relied on my old friend Google. Even though I tried as much as I could to avoid any structural beams underneath the house, I ended up being stuck between an older beam and a newer 2x10, so I had to settle by putting the flange in between the two first openings. But what I really didn't want was a wobbly toilet that would end up leaking like the original one, causing a whole array of problems. So I did a little patch to be able to put the flange at the right spot and be sure that it would be sturdy enough to resist the time. We were now ready for some drywall fun. Still in the optics of avoiding any water leakage problem, I went all in with the d.i.y membrane underneath the tiles. Tiling was another first for me. I had helped someone tile before, but I'd never done it by myself. Like always, I'd watched my fair share of YouTube video on the subject before I started. And after watching a few overcomplicated techniques to maximize full tiles, I ended up going for a simpler solution. Instead of starting at the back of the room with a cut and hopefully arriving flush at the door, I decided to start at the door, go around the room, and then come back, then maximizing my full tile everywhere and having cut only on the side of the wall. And again, to minimize any water infiltration, I went for the full epoxy grout. It is definitely harder to apply and especially to clean up, but it is waterproof, flexible, mold, and stain resistant. Now that the bathroom was tiled and ready for a toilet installation, it was now time to go back in the abyss and figure out the sewage system. But since I knew I was going to spend a lot of time down there, I thought it would be a nice addition to add a nice layer of rocks. It was a big push to give, but I was really eager to retire the Logaloo for good. So I gave everything I had to be able to install the toilet before the end of the day.
Filling up. Ooh. Parfait, attends un peu. Ok, flash down.
The sound of success. Honestly, I didn't know you could be proud of a toilet. But I'm sure damn proud of that one. I still remember how worthless I was feeling after my laminate floor debacle. Like, it doesn't take much to get discouraged. It's crazy how just a small failure can sometimes make you question everything. So I guess the lesson is, don't let small failure bring you down. There's always an opportunity to learn. So that's all for today's video. Hope you like what you've seen. If you're still here, please leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, do whatever the people on YouTube do. And if you want to support the channel, you can also go to our online store, store.skateboardranch.com. So during the next few weeks, I will try to keep the same pace and work as hard as I can on the house. Hopefully, I would like by the beginning of October to have like the bathroom completely done and at least a functional kitchen. And then for October and November, before the winter hits us too hard, I would like to work outside as much as I can. I'll keep you guys posted. I would really like to organize a little get together, like a little camping weekend, pick up some dead wood and make a huge bonfire. So I'm probably gonna create an event on Facebook. Check out the Skateboard Ranch page on Facebook to stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys soon.
First ply, second ply, old floor, and even older floor. Tablette d'aspirine. That's it. Oh mon Dieu.